Welcome back to the Clemon Corner. This is the third in a series of videos highlighting unsung Black women athletes of the 20th century. This week's featured athlete is Wyomia Tyus, the first Olympian to repeat as 100-meter champion at the Olympics. Tyus stood as a direct beneficiary of the path created by Alice Coachman and Wilma Rudolph. Like Rudolph, she thrived and grew under the tutelage of Coach Ed Temple at Tennessee State University, where she was a Tiger Belle, a member of its women's track and field team. Like many other Tiger Belles, Tyus was born in Georgia. She grew up in Griffin, right outside of Atlanta, and was raised by her father, a farmer, and her mother, a laundress. She was the only girl of their 4 children, and her father insisted that her brothers include her in their outside play. Her athletic ability was apparent from a very early age. Coach Temple first saw Tyus compete at the 1961 Georgia High School State Track Championships. Seeing that she was talented but needed training on form, Coach Temple invited her to attend TSU's summer program for high school athletes. She grew more formidable under his tutelage and swept the AAU 50-yard, 75-yard, and 100-yard dashes in 1962, setting an American record in the 100 and 50-yard dashes. Not surprisingly, she was offered a work-study scholarship to TSU, which she accepted. Tyus had considerable shoes to fill at TSU, coming after Wilma Rudolph and having 200-meter specialist Edith McGuire as a fellow Tiger Belle. Although McGuire was viewed as the favorite to win the 100-meter at the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo, Tyus took home the gold. Leading up to the 1968 Olympics, Black American athletes have been called upon to boycott, to bring attention to the racism that existed in this country. Those discussions were led by Dr. Harry Edwards at San Jose State University, who created the Olympic Project for Human Rights as a coalition for Black athletes. While Black women athletes like Tyus were invited to join OPHR and participate in the boycott, women athletes weren't truly integrated into the organization. According to Jennifer Lansbury, author of A Spectacular Leap, the priority of the OPHR was to put Black men on equal footing with white men before addressing sexism and gender-based discrimination. In addition to not being fully included in the OPHR's plans, Tyus and the other women track athletes at TSU were discouraged by Coach Temple from engaging in protest, as he thought it would damage their images and employability post-sports. Ultimately, the athletes decided to participate in the Olympics and make their own individual decisions about protesting if they won a medal. In one of the most iconic moments of Olympic and sports history, Tommie Smith and John Carlos, both San Jose State students, went on to raise their fists and don black socks without shoes when they both medaled in the 200-meter event. Tyus not only went on to compete in the 1968 Olympics, she went on to win a second gold medal in the 100-meter as well as in the relay. Although she doesn't get the same level of attention as Smith and Carlos, Tyus, as a form of protest, donned black shorts instead of the standard issue uniform shorts and dedicated the relay win to Smith and Carlos, who had been suspended from further competition and sent back to America. Tyus was one of the first Black female track stars to continue to compete after college and Olympic success. This was largely due to the creation of the International Track Association in 1973, which she participated in and dominated in 1974 when she won every race in which she participated. The ITA folded in 1976, only 3 years after its founding. After leaving sports, Tyus worked as a broadcaster for the 1976 Summer Olympics and worked with the Women's Sports Foundation, an organization started by Billie Jean King to promote women's and girls' participation in sport. She went on to coach track at the high school level and serve as a naturalist for the Los Angeles Unified School District. She has been inducted into the National Track and Field Hall of Fame, the Women's Sports Hall of Fame, and the Olympic Hall of Fame. Tyus was perhaps the first high-profile Black female athlete to experience sports at a time when both civil rights for Blacks and women were at the forefront. As a Black woman, she experienced the intersectionality of being devalued and underappreciated because of both her race and sex. Wyomia Tyus deserves accolades for her accomplishments. She is due to be lauded not only for her success in track and field, but for her role as a voice of protest in a space dominated by men. Thank you, Ms. Tyus, for your contributions.